what? I'm gonna fuck the Earth! That's right, this is what you get! My super laser piss!
Well, here we are again. Last time, I talked about the spear, a weapon with a few annoying issues, and many annoying users. But for all its faults, it at least still did its job when it decided to actually do anything. At this point, I just dislike it out of spite, unlike the topic of this video, the laser cannon, which I hate because it's actually, genuinely, fucking useless. Where do I even begin with this fucking flashlight? It takes a stratagem slot and is literally called a cannon, so you'd be forgiven for assuming that it does anything to enemies with more than an inch of armor, which it doesn't. Or at least, it certainly doesn't feel like it. So unless you're about to start climbing tanks, the moment you run out of grenades and stratagems, you suddenly can't do anything meaningful to any of the threatening enemies in the game. Which, you know, are normally the most important ones to deal with. This is on a planet with less heat buildup, by the way. Thrilling. What a great start. Okay, well, what does it do? The game lists its main selling point as not needing any ammo. At a glance this is good, there's just one tiny problem. Everywhere has ammo dipshit. Between the ton of ammo laying around the map and the literal fucking stratagem that you have to give you supplies, you would never need this. Even then it's lying to you, because shooting this fucking piss beam for long enough makes the weapon overheat, making you stop to replace the heat sink. How do you get new heat sinks? By picking up ammo. What a vicious, stupid cycle. Just don't overheat it, I hear you say. My goodness, why didn't I think of that? The overheat wouldn't be an issue if it didn't happen so quickly. I forgot how the other stratagem weapons that are also intended for clearing the smaller to medium-sized enemies also tell you to fuck off after 5 kills. This ugly fucking magnifying glass feels like a primary weapon that handles like shit. Wait. Laser. Primary. Shit, I almost forgot about the Scythe. The Scythe is the exact same thing as the laser cannon except it isn't a clickbaiting hack. It still isn't good, but it does the same thing while not taking away the better stratagem options, like for example, literally fucking all of them. Instead, it just stops you from using the other, better primary options, but I'm pretty sure they made the guard dog rover so you wouldn't get the separation anxiety from not having your precious breaker. Sure, it has a lower penetration and less firing time before it overheats, but it's faster, snappier, has more spare heat sinks when you do overheat it, and is easier to cut limbs with because it doesn't handle like shit. I know this is the first time I've mentioned that the lasers can cut limbs, but the piss cannon doesn't deserve any praise, so I didn't mention it until now. It barely helps, but it is pretty funny. I would talk more about the guard dog, but other than letting you use a better primary, the only difference is that it aims for you, so it's safe to assume it's better than you actually using the gun. Just try to ignore how sometimes it's more interested in killing you over the enemy. So, is there actually any reason except fun to use these weapons over anything else? Did you actually listen to what I just said? No. There isn't. At least, not yet. I've heard that apparently lasers in the first game worked pretty well against the Illuminate, but I wouldn't know for sure because just like you, I never played it. I'm not giving the cannon a final rating, because any number given to it would be too high. The Scythe gets a just use the guard dog out of 10. Next time, I'll look at a weapon that I actually like. Not because I think I'm too negative, but because if I have to use a weapon that barely functions again, I'll kill myself.